Hi, I'm Bryony and welcome to session 3 of the Lockdown 2 Stretch and Mobility Yoga series. So fingers crossed this is going to be one of the last ones from my living room. But this week we're going to be focusing on some stretches for the hips, the hamstrings, the lower back, a bit of the shoulders as well. So quite a lot of the body is going to get a little bit of attention for this session. So we're going to feature quite a flowing series, so just rest whenever you need to. I'm going to give options to skip out parts of the flow depending on how energetic you're feeling. So just practice how you feel is best for you today. We're going to start seated, just to centre ourselves, so cross-legged or on the knees, hands resting on top of the knees or maybe stacked on top of each other in the lap, joining the thumbs together. And then just closing the eyes or just finding a soft focus on the spot on the floor in front of you. And just starting to sit up nice and tall, stretching the crown of the head up towards the ceiling, grounding the sit bones or the tops of the shins into the floor. And then just allowing the breath to soften, naturalize. Just notice where you're breathing, how you're breathing. Noticing if you're holding any tension anywhere, seeing if you can just let it go a little bit. And then just starting to deepen the breath, coming into Ujjayi breath, victorious breath, so widening and closing the back of the throats. So you start to hear a little bit of a rasping sound. I'm trying to keep the inhalation about the same length as the exhalation. So just using the sound of the breath as your mantra, your focus, trying to keep this steady, even breath throughout the practice. And if you ever find that you've lost the breath, you're holding the breath, or the breath starts to stutter a little bit, then just maybe taking a moment just to come back to yourself, to maybe see if you need to take a break or need to back off, or just need to bring the mind back to the practice. Sometimes it has a tendency to wander off and start thinking about things like breakfast or what you're going to do today or what you're going to watch on Netflix today or whatever is going on in your brain. Sometimes it just starts to take over a little bit and we lose our focus on the present moment. So just a couple more deep breaths here. And then just softly blinking open the eyes. Just taking a moment just to notice how you feel. Make any little movements just to start to bring a bit of movement back into the body. And then coming to lie down on your back. So just stretching the legs out, bring the arms either side of you, and we're just going to start by moving with the breath, but we're going to draw one knee at a time in towards the chest. So inhaling and then exhaling, just drawing the knee in towards you, starting to wake up the hip flexors, and then stretching out again, drawing the knee into you, and release. So just coming from side to side. You can also raise the head a little bit, just to start to activate the core. One more each side. And then just coming back to centre, bring the feet back to the floor. This time taking the hands around the back of the right thigh, just clasping it gently, and then just starting to bend and straighten the leg. So just starting to wake up the hamstring. So pressing the heel up towards the ceiling, pressing the back of the thigh back into the hands. And then holding at the top, maybe staying here, maybe extending the bottom leg out for a bit more of a stretch. You can also start to walk the hands up a little bit, but not going too far. So we're just starting to warm up. So keep pressing the leg into the hands, wherever it is. Good. And then bending the leg. Just taking the hand to the inside of the knee, left hand on top of the left thigh. Just let the knee fall out to the side, just stretching the inner thigh. Good. And then coming back to centre, bending the left knee, crossing the ankle over the thigh, and then just drawing the right knee out to the side. Just pausing here for a moment, pressing the inner thigh back into the hand. And then starting to bend the left knee, catching hold of the back of the thigh, start to draw the left leg towards you, keep flexing through the right ankle, drawing out with the right knee. Just resting the head and the shoulders on the floor. And then release out. Changing sides, so catching hold of the back of the left leg, and just starting to bend and straighten the leg, warming up the hamstring, keep flexing the heel. And then pausing at the top, either staying here, just pressing the leg back into the hands into the leg, maybe extending the bottom leg, keeping the bottom leg active, and then maybe you can start to draw the left leg towards you a little bit closer. Might not move much at all. It's also fine if the leg's a little bit further away from you, if it's not like 90 degrees. If it's a bit too far away, you can always get a towel or something and just wrap it around the leg, just to give your arms a little bit of extra length. Good. And then taking the hand to the inside of the knee, just drawing the knee out to the side. And then back to centre. Bring the sole of the foot, the right foot to the floor, crossing the ankle over, just pressing the left knee away slightly, feel the inner thigh, and then pressing it back into the hand, so you've got that slight resistance. Keep the breath slow and steady. And then start to draw your right knee in towards you, catching hold of the back of the thigh. Keep drawing the left knee out, flexing through the left heel, and then releasing out. Good. Just drawing the knees in, catching hold of the back of the thighs, start to roll forwards and backwards on the spine, massaging the length of the spine, keeping the chin drawn in towards the chest, and then coming all the way up, seated, just coming over onto the hands and knees. So having the hands underneath the shoulders, the knees underneath the hips. We'll just take a few rounds of cat-cow. So on your inhale, you let the pelvis tilt up towards the ceiling, widen through the collarbones, shoulder blades draw together. And then as you exhale, pelvis tucks under, feeling the back start to arch, shoulder blades widen, chin draws in slightly, and then back through again, inhaling and exhaling. Inhale and exhaling, pressing the floor away. Inhaling and exhaling. And coming back to neutral, just taking the knees quite wide, toes touch, heels touch. We'll start to move forward and back into child's pose. So inhaling here and exhaling, pressing the hips back, pressing through the hands, straightening through the arms. Inhaling forwards, exhaling back. So really starting to stretch through the lower back. Inhale forwards, exhaling back, hips as well. Inhale and exhale. Couple more. Just moving with your own breath. And then pausing here
bottom, stretching the arms away, maybe coming up onto fingertips, and then we'll just take a side stretch, so walking the hands over to the right, as far as right as you can with the couch in the way. Just breathing into the left side waist, ribs, just letting the left sit bone sink towards the heel, and then back to centre, and exhaling over to the left, taking a breath here, and then exhaling back to centre. Inhale here, exhaling to the right, stay for the inhale, exhale centre, inhaling here, and then exhaling to the left, inhaling here, and then back to centre, inhale, exhaling to the right, stay for the inhale, exhaling centre, inhaling, exhaling left, inhaling here, and then back to centre, coming back up onto all fours, tucking the toes under, bringing the knees in line with the hips, and then as you exhale you're going to lift the knees and start to push the hips back, straightening through the arms, coming into a low downward facing dog, so like a crouch position, and then inhaling, just coming forward, letting the knees hover, exhaling, pushing back, inhaling, hover, knees, exhaling back, starting to straighten the legs a little bit more, inhale and exhale. So pausing here. So again, just bending the knees, really lengthening through the upper body, pressing the hands into the floor, wide through the fingertips. And then we're just going to really start to tilt the sit bones up towards the ceiling. So really sort of lifting the tail, and then slowly starting to press through the tops of the thighs to bring the heels closer towards the floor. So we're not just trying to jam the heels down, we're really trying to use the whole of the leg. So starting from the top, and this will help to really get into the hamstrings as well. One more breath here. Exhaling out. And then we're going to inhale, rock forward to plank. Exhaling it back. Inhale, plank. Exhaling back. Inhale, plank. Exhaling back. Inhale. Exhale. Inhaling forwards, holding here. Exhaling out. Inhale. And then exhale, dropping the knees, untucking the toes, lowering the thighs, hips down towards the floor. Bring the hands behind you, palms face down. And then we're just going to inhale, lift the chest. And exhale, lower. So starting to warm up the lower back, mid back, and down. Inhale up. And down. Inhale up. And down. One more. Inhale up. And then down. Bring the hands either side of the chest, pressing back up onto all fours. And then we're just going to step the right foot through, coming into a low lunge. So having the knee over the ankle, just bring the hands on top of the thigh. I'm not trying to sink too far forward into the left hip because it starts to crunch into the lower back. So I'm just backing off slightly, drawing the back of the pelvis down towards the floor, the tailbone, front of the pelvis straight down, and then maybe you can just move forward slightly, just depending on sort of the flexibility in the hips. So from here, we'll just stretch the arms up, reaching up tall, maybe interlacing the palms, pushing up towards the ceiling, and then exhaling, bending the elbows, taking them wide, and then crossing left arm on top of right, maybe interlacing the hands, maybe just clasping hold of the shoulders, and then just starting to lift the elbows slightly, keeping the head level, maybe the chin drawn in slightly. So you're just really feeling widening across the back of the shoulder blades. Good. Releasing out, so just changing sides, taking the left foot forwards, left knee over left ankle, just coming up onto the knee to start with, backing off a little bit, drawing the back of the pelvis down, the tailbone down towards the floor, and then just starting to come forward a little bit again. Just trying to keep length in the lower back. Inhaling, reaching the arms up, interlacing the hands, maybe the opposite way, the slightly weird feeling way, lifting up tall. Exhaling, bending the elbows, and then this time right arm on top of left, either catching hold of the shoulders or crossing the forearms, catching hold of the thumb or the hand, and start to lift the elbows. Breathing into the stretch, and then releasing out. So lifting the back knee, this time stepping back into downward facing dog. So either staying here in downward facing dog, or you can come through a flow section. So this option applies anytime we come into this portion of the flow. So inhaling forwards if you're doing this, and then exhaling, lower the knees, lower down onto the belly, taking the arms behind you, and then we're going to come up into locust pose. So inhaling, lifting the chest, maybe this time raising the arms. And exhaling, lower down, hands either side of you, pushing back onto all fours, and then stepping back into downward facing dog. Maybe give the feet a little bit of a pedal. Good, so we're coming through to a lunge now, so you've got the option to drop the knees and step through, or you can step straight through like this. So raising the right leg, looking forward towards the hands, drawing the right knee in towards the chest, and then stepping the foot as close as you can between the hands. So keeping the back knee raised this time, just bringing the hands to rest on the thigh, just making sure the knee's over the ankle, and then also just bending the back knee slightly, drawing the tailbone down towards the floor, and then start to straighten through the back leg. Good. Inhaling, raising the arms, reaching up tall. Inhaling, and then exhaling, bring the hands behind you, clasping the elbows, and just start to imagine that you're drawing the forearms away from each other, so trying to draw the hands apart. So hopefully you can feel a bit of a stretch across the front of the chest. Good. And then releasing down, stepping back, downward dog. Other side, inhale, raising the left leg, and then exhaling, either stepping through, dropping the knee, or bringing the foot all the way through, and then coming up, bending the back knee slightly, just tilting the pelvis slightly so that the tailbone's drawing more down towards the floor, lengthening through the lower back a little bit more. Then start to straighten the back leg as much as you can. Inhale, raising the arms, and exhaling, bring the arms behind you, clasping the elbows or forearms, starting to draw them apart, stretching through the chest. So just keep looking straight forward, and then releasing out. Bring the hands down, stepping back, downward dog, either staying here or rocking forward to plank on an inhale, and exhaling, lower down like a press up, or lower knees, thighs, hips to the floor. Bring the hands either side of you. Inhaling, lifting the chest, raising the arms, maybe raising the feet this time. Taking another breath here. And exhaling, lower, hands either side of the ribs, pressing back into downward facing dog. Good, so stepping the feet a little bit closer together, this time raising the right leg, and then turning the right toes out to the side, turning from the hip, bending the left knee, start to bending the right knee, raising the right knee up towards the ceiling, And then bringing it back to centre, looking forward, stepping the right leg through, right foot between the hands, lowering the left heel now so the toes pointing out about 45 degrees, cartwheeling the left arm out into Warrior Two, bending into the right knee over right ankle, right knee drawing out to little toe side of the foot, just gazing out at the right fingertips. Inhaling here, exhaling forearm to thigh, right forearm that is, reaching the left arm up and over, coming into extended side angle pose. So reaching through the left fingertips, pressing out into the left side of the foot, the left foot. Inhaling here. And then exhaling, bring the left hand down to the floor and then bring the left knee down. Just walking the right foot out behind, coming to the inside of the foot, reaching the right arm up and extending it up and over. So coming into a nice side stretch. And then bring the right hand down, pressing back into downward dog. We'll try that on the other side. So stepping the right foot in slightly, bring the left leg up, bending the left knee, opening the knee out to the side, lifting it up towards the ceiling, trying to squeeze the left heel in towards the left buttock. And then bring everything back to centre line, drawing the knee into the chest, stepping the foot through. Bring the right heel to the floor, toes pointing out 45 degrees, and then cartwheeling the right arm out behind you, Warrior Two. Gazing over left fingertips. And then exhaling, bring the left forearm down, sweeping the right arm up and over, coming into side angle pose. So really pressing into the outside of the right foot. Try to catch the breath, keep it slow and steady still. And then bring the right hand down, dropping the right knee, maybe turning it out slightly. Bring the left foot to the floor behind you, reaching the left arm up and over, extended, sort of a modified side plank but with a stretch in it. And bring the left hand down. So just pressing back into downward facing dog. So option here to stay in downward facing dog or come rocking forwards into plank. Exhaling, lower the knees or just straight down like a push up onto your belly. Hands behind you, inhaling, lifting up into locust pose. Inhaling here. And exhaling lower. Bring the hands either side of you, pushing back into downward facing dog. So coming into pigeon now, bring the right knee behind the right wrist. So leg crossing across the front of the body, walking the left toes out behind you. And then just walking the hands back slightly, just lifting the chest, letting the hips sink down towards the floor. Start to pull back on the hands slightly just to help them sink down a little bit lower. If this isn't comfortable for you, just come onto your back and cross the right ankle over the left knee in the figure four stretch that we did at the beginning of the class. Good. So from here, just coming down onto the forearms. And then if you're able to, just letting the forehead rest down towards the floor or maybe on stacked hands. So just letting the breath flow through the body. With each exhalation, just allowing the body just to relax a little bit more. Good, and then just lifting back up onto the hands, tucking the back toes under, taking it back into downward dog, maybe pedaling through the feet again. And then this time taking the left knee to the back of the left wrist, left foot to crossing across the front of the body, walking the right toes out behind you, and then walking the hands in a little bit, just letting the hips sink down, drawing back on the hands, on the fingertips slightly, lifting the chest. So if you feel any crunching at all in the lower back or compression, then just backing off out of it a little bit. And then slowly coming down onto the forearms. So either staying a little bit more upright, or if you can rest your head down comfortably, then do so. So try to keep the hips as level as you can, so you're not rolling off to one side. Slowing and deepening the breath. Good. And then slowly lifting up, coming back into downward facing dog, taking the knees wide, toes touch, heels touch, coming into extended child's pose. So taking a couple of breaths here. Hopefully the hips should feel a little bit more spacious now than from when we first did this at the beginning of the class. And then slowly coming up, walking the hands back. So just coming to sit, extending the legs in front of you into seated staff pose. So I'm just sitting this way so you can see. You can stay seated along the length of your mat. So from here we're going to draw the right knee in towards the chest and then just let the right knee fall out to the side. So the right foot's to the inside of the left thigh, right knee's about a 90-degree angle from the left leg. And then we're going to turn and face the right leg, so hands either side. Just taking the left hand onto the left shin. Make sure your toes are still pointing up towards the ceiling, it's not got a bit lazy, the left leg. And then you're going to reach the right arm up and taking a side stretch. So this should hopefully feel nice for the lower back. So just coming as far as feels comfortable. If it feels okay, you can also take the left forearm to the inside of the leg, maybe lying it on the floor, and then reaching a little bit further with the right hand. So just going as far as you feel that you get a benefit. So it doesn't matter what this pose looks like. Don't worry about trying to reach the foot or anything like that. It's more about making sure you've got space in both sides of the waist. You're not compressing at all. You've still got room to breathe. And that you're getting the maximum stretch in the lower back. And then coming back up. Good. So just turning to face the left leg now. And then we're just going to bend the left knee slightly. Start to press the left heel into the floor. And then start to maybe fold over the left leg slightly. Maybe having the hands behind you just to help lift the chest. If you find that you're rolling back in this position, then don't come forward. You can also maybe stick a cushion underneath your sit bones as well, just to help elevate them, just to help with the stretch a little bit. So this is a little bit of a hamstring stretch. So hopefully you're feeling it. And then coming back upright. So we'll change sides. So extending the right leg, drawing the left knee in, taking the knee out to the side. So about 90-degree angle with the left knee and the right leg. Turning to face the left leg. Right hand on top of right shin, toes pointing towards the ceiling. Reaching the left arm up and over. And then just coming as far as you feel a bit of a stretch in the left side. Maybe you can bring the forearm down. So again, noticing where you feel the breath. Can you feel it in the left side ribs? Can you feel the muscles in between the ribs expanding? The right side of the body's not compressed. If it is, just coming up a little bit higher. And then coming back up. Turning to face the right leg, hands behind you. Bending the knee slightly, pressing the right heel into the floor. And then just starting to lean over the right leg, maybe pushing a little bit further with the right foot
And then slowly lifting back up again, extending the left leg in front of you, drawing the right knee in, so sole of the foot flat to the floor, right hand behind you, reaching around, catching hold of the front of the left shin, the left arm. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhaling, just turning to look over your right shoulder if that's comfortable for your neck. If not, maybe just looking at the left foot. I prefer this way, creates a bit less tension. You can always take the left elbow to the outside of the right knee. You can always walk the right foot a little bit closer towards the left foot if you need a bit more space to turn. So just making any minor adjustments just to suit your body and get the most out of the pose. And then releasing out, changing sides. So sole of the left foot to the floor, sitting up nice and tall, wrapping the right arm around the front of the left knee, and then left hand behind you, sitting up tall, lengthening through the spine. Exhaling, maybe seeing if you can turn the body a little bit more, maybe looking out at the right foot or over the left shoulder. Maybe you can take the right elbow to the outside of the left knee. Inhale again, lengthen the spine. Exhaling, just using the arm just to help you turn, but just being really careful when you're using this sort of leverage with the body for twists. You don't want to over twist. And then back to centre, extending the legs, and then coming to lie down on your mat. We'll take a few rounds of bridge pose. So when I say a few, I mean 3. So bringing the heels sort of fairly close towards the bottom. You might be able to reach down and tickle your heels with your fingertips. Feet about hip width apart, toes facing forwards, sort of knees in line with the toes as well. So from here, you're just going to lift the hips up towards the ceiling, pressing them up as high as you can, walking the shoulders underneath you, and then pressing down into the feet. Imagine sort of drawing the feet away from each other, so this will activate the outer hips, and then to activate the hamstrings, you imagine drawing the heels towards the bottom. So just play around with that, see where you can feel the pose in the body. Notice what's working, what isn't. Light engagements with the glutes as well once you get to your highest point. Maybe you can interlace the hands underneath. Taking one more breath here. And then exhaling, releasing the hands, lowering all the way back down onto the floor. Pausing at the bottom, taking a breath. And then coming back up again, inhaling, lifting up. Walking the shoulders underneath. And pressing down into the floor with the feet. Keeping the knees in line. And then lowering back down again. So we've got one more round. So again, just pressing the feet down into the floor. On an inhale, lifting the hips up towards the ceiling, walking the shoulders underneath. Maybe seeing if you can come up a little bit higher. Maybe interlacing the hands. Couple more breaths. One more breath. And then releasing, coming all the way down. Just taking the feet about mat width apart, letting the knees roll together. Just closing the eyes for a moment. Just letting the spine neutralise. And then just rolling the knees from side to side, taking the arms out wide. Good. And then we'll finish with a spinal twist.
So you've got two different options for the spinal twist depending on how your lower back feels. If you want it to be a little bit more gentle with it, then you bring the knees together, bring the shins together and just roll both legs over to the side with the knees bent. If you want a bit more of a twist, you can extend the right leg out along the floor, draw the left knee in, take the right hand to the outside of the left knee and then roll over to the side like that, and then sweep the left arm up and over the head, out to the side. So just letting the shoulder fall down towards the floor. Just using light pressure with the right hand on the left knee. Just to draw the left hand and the right knee diagonally apart, so you can feel that opposite pull of direction. And then back to centre. So just shifting yourself back so you're in line on the mat, left leg extends if you're doing that version, and then catching hold of the outside of the right knee, rolling over onto the left side, sweeping the right arm up and over, out behind, maybe looking at the right hand. So keep a light pressure with the left hand against the right thigh, just having that opposite pull of direction again with the right fingertips stretching away, maybe slightly diagonally to the left knee. And then coming back to centre, just taking happy baby pose, so just drawing the knees into the chest, flexing the soles of the feet towards the ceiling, catching hold of the ankles and drawing the knees into the armpits. Maybe staying here, maybe catching hold of the outsides of the feet, just starting to draw the knees down, maybe rock from side to side, just feeling the lower back widening into the floor. Good, and then releasing the feet, extending the legs, coming into rest pose. So I'll just take a minute or so in rest. If you've got longer, then please stay longer. So closing the eyes, just letting the feet roll out to the sides, backs of the hands rest on top of the floor, just palms of the hands towards the ceiling. Just letting the shoulders soften down into the floor, fall down your back, make any little movements that you need just to make yourself feel really comfortable. Just letting the face soften, tongue fall away from the roof of the mouth. And just letting the mind drift, just not getting involved in any thoughts, just for another minute or so. So breath softens, no more focus on it. So those who need to finish their practice now, and we're just starting to deepen the breath, starting to bring small movements back into the body, starting with the fingers and the toes, followed by the wrists and the ankles, so circling them one way and then the other, and then reaching the arms up over the head, taking a deep breath in, exhale, sigh out of the mouth, releasing any tension, and then drawing the knees back one at a time in towards the chest, giving yourself a little hug. And then rolling over onto your side, slowly coming up to a seated position, taking your time, no rush. Once you're seated, just sitting up nice and tall, bring the hands together in front of the chest, pressing the palms, lifting the elbows, bowing the head. Namaste. Thank you very much for practicing with me today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. See you later.